And so this is the most efficient way to study and pass the Florida Business Finance exam. I have 4 steps with 4 pro tips, and this 10 minutes is going to save y'all a ton of time. This is the method that I use to get through all this material in about a month, and I made a 97.5. I did study a lot of hours most days, and I used this exact same method for my roofing trade exam, which was 11 books, so it was a lot more material. And I did that in under a month, and I made a 95%. I recommend this method to other people that have used it and have had great results with it. So without a shadow of a doubt, this is the most proven way to study and pass the business and finance exam. I did the books in an order for BGA, then the Florida Contractors Manual, and then the AIA docs. So step 1 is going to be find a couple highlighting guides that y'all like on YouTube. And when you do highlight, use the gel highlighters, aka Bible highlighters, so it doesn't bleed through these thin pages. I used 2 guides side by side, and they highlighted and talked about 99% of the same stuff. So I recommend watching something that you like, getting through all the material, but also watch mine because they're different. It's a no nonsense because I highlight exactly what we need to know. I go through the test questions as we go through the material, and we're not highlighting every word on every page of every chapter. Little sarcasm there, but it kind of defeats the purpose of highlighting. Highlighting is to highlight what you need to know. The Builder's Guide to Accounting is where I started, and I did 1 chapter at a time. As I highlighted, I read the material, and then I did the 15 questions at the end of each chapter, which turns out, in hindsight, is what I'm sharing with you guys to save time. We can basically skip a handful of chapters in the Builder's Guide to Accounting, and your time is much better spent doing the actual practice exams than doing 28 chapters worth of 15 questions. So you can skip those questions if you would like to. That's up to you. So I did the BGA, then I did the Florida Contractors Manual, which I didn't read every chapter. I read some of it. I skim read some of it. Probably by the time I was done studying after a month, I feel like I pretty much read the entire book. You probably will as well. And I saved the AIA docs to last just because they were very boring to me. So I put off what I didn't like. The pro tip here with the highlighting is I don't recommend buying pre-highlighted and pre-tabbed books. Highlighting on your own, it's going to give you guys familiarity with the book. It allows for you to highlight what you want and how you want it, not what somebody else wants you to highlight. And the tabs, I'll leave up to you. I didn't tab my BGA. I barely tabbed the Florida Contractors Manual. I had just ended up tabbing the chapters, the statutes, and some other things that were important to me that I knew that I would have to find quickly and that weren't easily accessible in the index. Put tabs where you need them and try not to over tab your books. I over tabbed one of my books on the roofing trade exam, and when I got into the exam, I had so many tabs all over the place that I couldn't easily locate the tabs that I needed to. Ended up actually using the index for pretty much that entire exam because it was too much clutter. So, how do you know where you need the tabs? I tabbed them last in the days leading up to the exam. You can underline in the book, you can highlight, you cannot write, and you cannot use anything red. Step 2, now that you have some familiarity with the highlighting through the highlighting guides that you did, now it's time to dive into the online modules. I signed up with Gold Coast. I'm not recommending them, but I'm not recommending them, right? They got me all the information I needed. Their practice exams were good for me, and I passed the exam. And that's obviously the only goal in mind is, does the course work and get you all the information and prep you correctly? And I feel like theirs did. I recommend doing the online modules one by one and don't skip any, because as you do each online module, which is all the information out of the books, there's a practice quiz that goes with it. So you do module 1, take practice quiz 1, and so on and so forth. The pro tip here is Gold Coast offers live classes from like 6 to 9, 8 days a month or so. They're not really in any particular order, I found, and it was hard to keep up with what module did I do. because you don't want to do a module twice and accidentally forget to do one module. So it's much easier to track if you just do module 1 through 7 on the online modules, because the online modules are the exact same as the live classes. But when it comes to the online modules, you get to go at your own pace. You can pause them. There's a playback speed button just like you have on YouTube, so you can speed them up if you need to. You can do them any time of day, not just 6 to 9. You can, if you need to rewind something, you can rewind it and listen to it again. So doing the online modules is way more efficient, and I would totally skip out on the live classes. Gold Coast has 7 online modules. They're all around 2.5 hours long at a normal playback speed. They also have some alternative modules if you desire that information in a slightly different format. Step 3. Once you've done each online module and the corresponding practice quiz, now it's time to get into the practice exams. With Gold Coast, it was one exam simulator, and the questions you had were all pulled randomly from like a big question bank. As you do more and more of the practice exams, you will see a couple of questions that you've seen before because it's all randomized. But overall, I felt their questions prepared me for what the questions were worded like and how to find the answers. Like, they were very similar to what you would get on the actual exam. And once I did, my highlighting guides and got through the material, then I did all the modules and the practice quizzes. Then I took one practice exam each day leading up to my actual exam date. The pro tip with these practice exams, this one's very important, y'all. When you answer a question correctly on a practice exam, it does not show you the correct answer, the page number to find it on, or if it's a math problem, the explanation of how you got it right. It only shows it when you get it wrong. So we don't need to be heroes on the practice exam. That's not what this is for. It's for learning and learning how to pass the actual exam. So if you don't know an answer or where to find it in the book, try to get it wrong, because when you do, the answer key at the end when you submit the exam will tell you the correct answer, where to find it in the book, and any explanation that goes along with it, like if it was a math problem. If you guess it right because you're just trying to score high on the practice exam, but you don't know for sure what the answer is, and you don't know where to find it in the book, or you don't know how to do that math problem, what good is that really doing you? So if you don't know it, try to get it wrong and learn. Step 4 is, now that you've done all the practice exams, you've been navigating the books, you've been learning where everything is in the books, what's hard to find, what's easy to find, now it's time to tab. Again, tab whenever you want. I saved it to last. I actually prefer to make my own tabs, which I did for my roofing exam. I bought 375 tabs. It was a packet on Amazon for like $10. If I tabbed my books early, I'd probably have a lot of unnecessary tabs, because as you do the modules and the practice exams, you really do get familiar with where everything is at and how to find things. And I found I could flip through the pages on where I kind of know stuff is faster than if I had a book full of tabs and there was a bunch of clutter everywhere. That's just how I preferred it. If you want a million tabs on your book, go for it. My advice though is try not to over tab. And the last pro tip here is how to cram. Gold Coast has 4 cram workshops. They're all about 8 hours long. I listened to them on a 1.5 times playback speed, probably while I was tabbing my books or just kind of effing around. Just kind of had it on in the background, but listening nonetheless. And I can tell y'all that is a huge waste of time, because all the information that the instructors go over in a cram session is the exact same information that you've already went through on the modules. Don't waste your time with the cram sessions. You're much better off cramming with the things you don't know. Like, if you're not familiar with the AIA docs, read them. If you're uncomfortable with the math and you're concerned about that, watch my YouTube math guides and practice the math. And then you're also just best doing as many practice exams as possible and treat them seriously. Even if you know where that answer is and you know the answer, still practice in the exams, going through the book, looking it up, because that's how you really get familiar and quick with how to look up answers. So I wish I would have known ahead of time. I could have skipped a lot of chapters in the BGA, didn't need to spend time doing the 15 questions at the end of each chapter, that I didn't need to spend any time messing around with the live classes or doing the cram sessions. So that's going to cut out so much time and keep your studying so much more efficient. I wish I knew that ahead of time. The best cram you can do, like I said, is anything that you're uncomfortable with, want to know, learn more about, like if you need to practice the math or read the AIA or whatever it is, and just take as many practice exams as possible. I know I said that, I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but that is really the best way to prepare for this exam. This is the most structured and efficient way to study and pass the Florida Business and Finance exam. So you do the highlighting guides, then the modules with the quizzes, then the practice exams, and then cram what you need to. If you're working right now, I'd probably, if it were me, maybe try to take the exam on a Tuesday, because then you can take Monday off work and you can cram Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Try to get like a couple days of just pure cramming in before you take this exam, because you just want to absorb it all real quick and then regurgitate it for the test. If you have questions about the exam, please drop them in the comments, because there's no DM feature on YouTube. Kind of stinks, I know, but if you have a question, chances are somebody else watching this video has the same exact question, and I'll do my best, and we'll have a community there. If anybody knows answers to any questions that people have, please hop in and share. And thank you guys very much for watching. Good luck.